Mike from Get Your Rock Out, and I'm here at Hammerfest Hard Rock Hell United with Brian Ross. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Yeah, everything's really cool. It's we played last night, and it was a great gig. So it was really the guys all enjoyed it. Everybody in the audience seemed to be enjoying it. So win-win situation, really.
It's a really interesting stage yesterday. That was like the Hammerfest stage, wasn't it? All of the heavy, booming, big acts. And you were on quite late. You were kind of the headliner of the day.
Yeah, we were, and it's as kind of happens at sometimes at these festivals. Everything was running about half an hour late, so we didn't get the chance to do an encore, unfortunately, because we got all of the main songs done that we needed to do in the hour that was allocated to us, and it was cool. Everybody was great. Everybody working the stage for us were awesome. So we managed to get on there and do the job. Fantastic.
Now, speaking of things getting moved around, the last time I saw you was Bloodstock, where you had a bit of an incident with Dave Mustaine having Satan, moving Satan back. But to be fair, like, I came and I saw you guys afterwards. You seemed to be taking it in good humour. You said we're the true headliners now because we're closing Bloodstock. What happened there?
Well, tongue in cheek, basically what happened was Dave Mustaine and Megadeth didn't want to be on stage at the same time as Satan. I don't know why. I'd like to think he was a bit afraid that we were going to take the entire audience. No, seriously. I think it was because he wanted to come and see us. So he asked the organisers to move us. They couldn't move us to before them, so they put us on after them. So technically we became the headliners. So tongue in cheek, I kind of said thanks to Dave Mustaine for handing us the headlining slot. I'm sure if he heard that, he wouldn't take offence. It wasn't meant as an offence thing, but it was kind of just a good humour thing that we said at the time, and it was funny. It was great. But the good thing was that we got the chance to see Megadeth as well. So that was a good one.
I'll tell you what, it was a true mark as well that people were wanting to see you, because everyone that I was camped out with were really disappointed because they'd come, they were ready to see you. There was a little notice put up, like a last minute notice. Yeah. 2 hours later, they go, "Wow, no, I wanted to see Satan now. I don't really care about Megadeth." Like, a lot of people go to see Megadeth, but there were quite a few who just, I guess they kind of stayed to watch out of just general, all right, well, we'll go and see them. But then when Satan came on, then they were up for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, everybody that was there were really up for it. It was nice. I was told that a lot of people had actually come to see us, which was really, really nice, and we appreciated that. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride with Satan. I guess I shouldn't really be talking too much about Satan in the Blitzkrieg interview, but it's kind of, we got back together after 28 years of nothing, and we did a couple of gigs, and then we decided to do an album. Then we've done more gigs, and we're at the moment we're in the middle of recording another album now. So everything's great with Satan, and that's cool,
Keeping busy.
Keeping very busy. I mean, at the moment, as I say, I'm doing Blitzkrieg. I'm doing Satan, and I'm also involved in a stage show in Newcastle about Alice Cooper as well, and I get to play Alice Cooper for a night. That's got to be cool.
What's that like?
Well, it's for a charity in Newcastle. A few years back, there was a young kid, about 14, 15 years old, was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and instead of sort of just sitting in bed waiting to die, he actually got out and did the Great North Run and various other things to raise the profile. And after he died, his mum created a cancer fund called the Toma Appeal, and he was an Alice Cooper fan. So when I was asked to play Alice Cooper to raise money for this charity, I jumped at the chance, really. So at the moment we're doing it as a one-off, but if it's successful, we may consider taking it out on tour beyond that. So
I'll tell you what, then, just before we get on with the interview, do you want to say right into the camera all the information on that show, where people can donate, where they can find information on it?
Absolutely. If you go to the website for the Customs House, because it's the Customs House in South Shields that we're doing it, it's on the 11th of April. We need as many people to turn up on the night as possible. If they want to make any donations, if you go to the Customs House website, there is a link to the Toma Fund there. You can make donations direct, or if you like, you can buy your ticket and come along and see the show. anything that you would expect to see at an Alice Cooper show, you will see that night.
Just with a bit more of a gilded traditional British heavy metal edge, I guess, if you're doing it.
No, we're doing it exactly as Alice would do it. So, you know, the other night in rehearsal, I got guillotined 5 times and I got hung 3 times. So we're doing the guillotine, we're doing the hangman's gibbet, we're doing the nurse comes in and does all of the things that you'd expect the nurse to do within an Alice Cooper show, the snakes, everything, the whole thing.
Do you find yourself then getting ideas when you do stuff like that? Like when you come to do a Blitzkrieg show, you think to yourself, we could incorporate a bit more theatrics here now that you have that kind of experience? To
be honest, I've always wanted to do more theatrics because Alice was a huge influence and still is on me. You know, as I grew up, I was influenced by the Beatles, and then I was influenced by Mark Bolan from T-Rex, the kind of lyrics that he wrote, kind of telling stories, which is why I do what I do. I was influenced by Ian Gillan for the type of vocals that I wanted to do, and later was Rob Halford. The theatrics thing came from Alice Cooper. But all the way through my career, if you listen to Blitzkrieg albums, there's a little bit of Alice in all of them all the way through anyway. So it's nothing new for me. But to get the chance to play Alice it's just something I would have always wanted to do, but sort of never got round to doing it. But to actually do it, it's amazing. And we've even had someone make exact replicas of all of the costumes as well. So it's great. And, you know, if you want to check it out, by all means do so. If you go to the Blitzkrieg website or on Facebook, my son's page, Alan, son of Blitzkrieg Ross, there's a link to the Alice Cooper page there. There's photographs, there's a little promo video. You know, it'll give you the background on it as well.
Now, getting back to Blitzkrieg, then we've got all the extracurricular stuff out of the way. Very busy, man. So you performed last night, and you're hanging around here now. You're doing the press and everything. As established veterans of the British metal scene, do you find it incumbent upon yourself to be here at these festivals, kind of checking out the younger acts and seeing who you think? Like, you're just checking it out, seeing who you think is going to be leading the next 10 years or something like that?
Well, yeah, it is a great opportunity to do just that, and because really the future of metal doesn't lie with me. It lies with the young guys that are coming up, and that has got to be encouraged, because without that, it's going to die. It will die out, and the last thing you want to see is metal dying out after Blitzkrieg, Satan, Saxon, Iron Maiden, and all of these bands sort of cease doing what it is that we do. You want to see young guys coming along, and indeed girls as well. There's quite a few like girl bands coming through now as well. So you don't just have Girls' School and Rock Goddess anymore. You've got quite a few coming through. Again, in the Alice Cooper thing, just to mention it one more time, we actually have a female bass player, and she is awesome. You know, she's amazing. So, and this is great because young kids coming along, learning to play, actually getting up, doing it, is amazing, and it's where it needs to be. So festivals like this that give these kids a chance to play, it's got to be encouraged, because this is where the future of heavy metal lies.
Have you seen anyone like hanging around that you thought was impressive? Did you see anyone yesterday that you thought was good?
Unfortunately, yesterday I didn't, because by the time we got here, we were kind of exhausted. So we went for something to eat, and then we just kind of chilled out for a while. And then, of course, we had to go on stage. But I was hoping to actually stick around today and watch a few bands today, but unfortunately I can't, because I've got to go back to Newcastle because I'm catching a flight in the morning with Satan out to Italy. So
again, busy man. Looking on the whole career now, I think, is it 35 years now of Blitzkrieg?
35 years with Blitzkrieg, yeah.
I mean, just, I guess, general musings on the history of that band, and also just the history of being a part of British heavy metal over these last 35 years. You know, you've seen the new wave of British heavy metal, you've seen every other, movement, every other trend happen, and you're still here, you're still going. Just general reflections, I guess, on both your personal experience and being part of it in general.
Well, back in the day, I know it's an overused phrase, back in the day, but it really is just that. I mean, when we first started out, we were just a British metal act. we didn't know we were part of a new wave of British heavy metal. This was something like that Sounds came up with, Jeff Barton in particular. And he featured us in the second issue of Kerrang! There was a picture of Richie Blackmore on the front, and we were inside and thought, this is great, you know. So, you know, we got around, we all knew, everybody sort of at Neat, we all knew each other, the Tigers of Pantang, Fist, White Spirit, Raven, Venom. We were all friends, and we still are. And, you know, because of that, I met the likes of Saxon, Biff. We've been mates forever, really. Iron Maiden, I've known Yannick Gears since the White Spirit days. You know, and we were kind of growing up together with all of that. And it really was just a great time to be around, you know. And quite a lot of the metal bands at the time came out of the punk thing, because, you know, you'd had disco, and then a bunch of people like the Sex Pistols, the Clash, the Stranglers, and whatever. They all came through saying, we've had enough of that. We want to plug in. We want to make some noise. And that kind of turned, as time went by, that kind of turned into British metal. We were always a British metal band. I mean, the band I was in before Blitzkrieg was like a British blues thing, like Free or Bad Company. But I could see that things were turning like a heavier edge, and I was trying to get us to move in that direction. And so we went through all of that, and we were kind of labelled with the new wave thing, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. We are a British metal act after all. And, you know, when a lot of bands kind of just gave up and went and did whatever it is that they've done, we carried on. And, you know, the first, I kind of, for a short time after Blitzkrieg split up in 1981, I formed a band called Avenger. We did a couple of singles on Neat. Then, of course, I joined Satan and did the Caught in the Act album. And when that was over, I managed a band called Lone Wolf for a while, and I did the vocals on the single. And then I decided to do the Blitzkrieg album, because I got so many people getting in touch with me and saying, you know, what happened to the songs that, you know, for Blitzkrieg? Because we had written all of the songs ready. We were, back in '81, we were offered a chance of a record deal with Carrera Records, which was Saxon's label at the time, and we were supposed to do an album and a single and go out on tour with Saxon. We recorded the single, but it was never released. We didn't do the tour with Saxon because the band split up. A couple of the guys in the band decided they didn't really want to do that. And and, you know, so we kind of...
This all makes sense in the edit. You just keep going and I'll cut that bit out.
I mean, it was just one of those things. And so in 1985, we actually put out the album that maybe should have been out in '81. And I tried to stay true to the idea, because it was always going to be called A Time of Changes. But originally I was going to release the album as a solo album, Brian Ross, and the album was going to be called Blitzkrieg, A Time of Changes. But after a while the press got a hold of it and we said, Blitzkrieg are releasing a new album. So I thought, yeah, fair enough, I'll go with that. And then Metallica phoned me and said, do you mind if we do a cover of Blitzkrieg? So I said, yeah, okay. And it all kind of worked together, and it worked really well. So, I mean, the only downside of that was that a lot of people believed that Blitzkrieg was a Metallica song and we were doing a cover of it. It's kind of...
Do you know, I interviewed Brian Tatler at Hard Rock Hell in November. Same kind of deal.
Yeah, Brian's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. But yeah, he had the same problem. Yeah, he had people coming up to him saying, you know, Am I Evil? Why are you doing a cover of the Metallica song? It's like, come on, guys, you know. But hey, it is what it is, you know, and it's great. And we've just kind of plugged on. People have come and gone, as you know, because in Blitzkrieg, I kind of demand 150% from everybody. And when it reaches the point where they're no longer into it anymore, that's time for them to move on. And, you know, they know that as well, and they'll come to me and they'll say, Brian, you know, I want to do this and I want to move on now, and you know, I'll get somebody else in. So there's been a change of lineup throughout the years we've had to deal with. I've always tried to retain the flavour of what Blitzkrieg is about, but at the same time bringing new ideas in as well. And it seems to work. It seems to work, and that makes me very, very happy. And that kind of brings us up to now. But the interesting thing is that we've never actually done 2 albums, simply, kind of one after the other, with the same lineup. If you look through every Blitzkrieg album, there's at least one person changed all the way through. We call it the curse of Blitzkrieg,
So when it finally does happen, that's it. That's the band finish.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, it's kind of. I would love to see 2 Blitzkrieg albums with the same lineup. It would be cool, and it would be nice to lay that one, the sort of curse of Blitzkrieg, forever, I guess. But I have no intention of stopping right now. I'm quite happy out. At the moment we're working on the reissue of the album Time of Changes, because it's the 30th anniversary of that album now, as well as being the band's 35th anniversary. But we're not just going to reissue the old album, we're going to re-record it with the new lineup, with this lineup that we have right now. So that is the plan, and then next year we'll release a proper full Blitzkrieg album. And on the Satan side, we're halfway through recording a new album with Satan right now. So the last time we did Back from Hell with Blitzkrieg, and we did Life Sentence with Satan, and we were recording them at the same time in the same studio. So I would be in the studio one day with Satan and the next day with Blitzkrieg. It was bizarre, but we're trying to stagger in it this time. So hopefully we'll get it right. And
so you don't find yourself singing one song and then you find yourself in the wrong studio.
Well, that doesn't happen, because Satan is so different to Blitzkrieg, and it's a whole different approach. So it is actually quite easy to keep it separate. It'd be interesting though, singing the lyrics to a Blitzkrieg song to a Satan song, or vice versa, would be interesting.
All right, I'll tell you what, we'll have to wrap this interview up. I'm going to have to put this banner back up in a minute. Do you have a message right into the camera for all our readers at Get Your Rock Out?
Yeah, keep rocking. Stay true to British metal. It's worth it, and it really is. There's a lot of new talent coming through. Support it, because we need your support to continue into the next century. Keep it rocking.
Brian Ross, thank you very much, man. Have a good rest of the weekend. Cheers. Cheers.